we go. Oh no! This is how we roll. At least my camera's working.
Now it's working. What's happening, everybody? I just got OBS discorded again.
Well, Discord loves you.
We've
And
gone
OBS.
completely off the rails from the start.
Yeah.
I was also noticing when you asked me about home improvement that my entire desk is covered in a fine film of dust.
Oh, that'll be good for your fans in your computer, then, won't it? Nice.
The workers. Man, I tell you what. Did we talk about babysitting contractors last week?
We did. So you've been doing a bit of that, have you?
So this must have been like Thursday or something. I wasn't here. I was at work. When I came back, they were gone. But then I get this note. The people who are demoing and doing the roughing in of the floor they're salt of the earth.
Sure they are.
Lovely.
Are.
They're lovely. But they are not the most high speed individuals you've ever met.
Of course they won't.
So they're gone on Thursday. I get a note later that day from the contractor. And he's like, yeah, they had to knock it off because one of the guys had a medical emergency. I'm like, what?
Oh, crikey.
So I don't know what it was, because they're both in there hacking and coughing and wheezing the whole time. They're not particularly healthy people. I don't know how, because they do manual labor.
Okay.
I am unsure how they get into the state they're in.
Right. Okay.
That's a conundrum that I can't quite sort out. I probably has to do almost entirely with diet. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's probably the pies, the pasties, and the beer
crazy
that go along with the job, isn't it?
So I hear that. Okay, great. And they don't show up Friday, I don't think, which was a surprise because they were supposed to finish the floor Friday. You know, the old we'll finish it Friday, and then of course no one shows up and nothing gets done. Yeah,
that's the one.
And I'm looking at it going, that's more than a day's work. You weren't gonna, even if you showed up, you weren't gonna finish Friday based on the amount of time they worked.
So what did they do? They're not laying the screed down; they're just roughing it up, ready to put the next layer.
Well, they've pulled the entire floor and subfloor up, so I have joists, and I'm looking, 2 feet down to the ground, 3 feet down to the ground.
Really?
Yeah.
So you got an open space below your feet. Crikey.
Yeah, in the kitchen. And the kitchen's like a separate room. You don't have to go into the kitchen to get anywhere else in the house, so that's fine. The back door out to the porch is there, but I have another door to the porch, so that's not a huge big deal at the moment. Anyway, so they call my wife or text her something, said, hey, do you mind if we come on Saturday and do like a half day? We're like, yeah, fine, come on, do it. So yesterday I was out in the yard doing shit, and they show up, and they're pulling out the old R19 insulation, so the fiberglass stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they roll in, and she's talking to me. Turns out, actually, I think she's the boss.
Okay.
which is probably why she works harder, but I'm not sure, to be honest. It's weird, but she's like, yeah, my so and so had a medical issue, and we're going to do like a half day and try to get him back into it. I'm like, okay, so 2 days ago he had a medical issue bad enough to stop working, and you're like, all right, back in there, buddy.
Get up, get back on the horse.
So they're getting this R19 out, and honestly, what I should have done, I have some Visqueen. I may do this. I'm probably going to seal off the kitchen. I should have done this already.
Okay.
That's on my list today. So I'm going to put plastic down so it's covered, which can also be pushed through if you need to, or pulled away. But while they're in there causing chaos, it should be closed. My fault. I kind of thought maybe you would do that as the contractor. I don't know.
No, gosh, no. Don't start thinking they think. No, not at all.
But so they start pulling up the R19. I go in there, and I'm trying to stay away because it's now you got fiberglass dust flying around and crap, and
Yeah.
Which again, I should have put the Visqueen in. But I look in there, and so she goes outside, and she's out there. My neighbor's out there, and she's like coughing and hacking and going like that. And Terry, my neighbor's like, "What? Hey, you all right?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I just got fiberglass in my mouth." And I'm like, "Oh boy."
Oh boy, but that's why they're unhealthy. They're
I'm like,
breathing all that crap in.
why do you not have a mask on?
You just put a dust mask on. You go,
Just
"Oh,
put a
no,
dust.
I know. Yeah.
So
They don't have a supervisor saying put on your mask.
well, they're
You know what I mean? It's
independent,
like-
right? They're just independent contractors. So I grabbed the wife. I'm like, we're going downtown. Let's go down to the farmers market. We'll go have a coffee.
Yeah.
I got some tamales. Sat down in the. This is a nice time of year where it's a lot downtown in our little town here. It's a lot like being in Europe now or England, where you can sit outdoors at a little cafe with some.
Nice. Yeah.
There's several places like that, and they do a
Very
farmers
posh.
market. It's very cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's true, Cliffy. Oh man. So anyway,
PPE.
yeah, that's where we are.
There's plenty of humans out there. You can just replace them. You don't need PPE.
Yeah.
That's fine. Oh, Brute, that is sunshine out there. Look at the reflection. Now, here's
Wow.
the story about the sunshine. It's now shining sunny. Okay. An hour ago, it was raining. But an hour before that, it was like this. Now, why do you think the rain came? Why do you think it was like this, and then it started clouding over rain, and then it went like this?
I blame it on the rain.
Well, I blame it on the house general who put her washing outside just at the time when the clouds came over. And then she's just run out now to pick it all back up and take it back in, and the sun's come out. So I'm like, don't put the washing out. It's as simple as that. Just don't put the washing out. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, don't put the washing out while I'm streaming because I have the sunshine.
It's nice here today. We got 56 degrees Fahrenheit, freezing cold.
That's quite nice. Yeah, this time of year
Freezing
it's okay in
cold.
Florida, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, for you it's cold. For me, that's like a summer's day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, wash your car to get rain. Well, you're having a bit of fun with your contractors, and I guess
I am. And then I spent the
I guess
day.
you know,
Go ahead.
have they give you a finish date as such, or a finish month, or which year will they finish? This or next?
That's actually a question that is in play because we are close to the end of the year.
Wow. Oh dear.
Theoretically, we're going to have a good amount of our kitchen back up by Thanksgiving, which is about 12 days, but I don't know.
Okay.
I think Christmas is for the whole thing, Jimmy, is probably a more realistic goal.
Okay, yeah.
Some of it is on me not ordering some of this stuff. I still have to get a sink for the bathroom and some other stuff, but we haven't quite decided how we want to do it. Plus, we haven't demoed the bathroom yet, so I'm not exactly sure of the configuration.
But do you not order as you go? Because if you order beforehand and change your mind, then
We
you
have
costs involved.
generally,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
but I mean the cabinets and the fridge and some of the other stuff we've had to obviously order before because there's a lead time on that stuff.
Sure.
So, but we knew what we wanted there, so that's all integral to redoing the kitchen.
So what's got to be done to your floor then? You've got to have a base.
Yeah,
down?
you got to put a subfloor in, which is going to be fairly thick, just kind of
What wood?
wood. And then
Yeah.
there's it's not OSB, but it's a new product for putting tile on subfloors as opposed to a concrete foundation, which we don't have.
Yeah.
So it's good for that. And then they've got this leveler stuff.
Is that a little bit like screed or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, but
and then it.
but it's not rock or anything.
Oh, is it not? Oh, okay.
No,
All
no,
right.
because it's all on joist. It's up off the ground.
I was going to say, because do you not have to weatherproof underneath? Because you've got a space and then you've got the ground.
It's dry. It's pretty dry under there, but I do have a plastic vapor
you?
barrier on the ground.
Right, vapor barrier.
Yeah.
That was the one I was after. Yeah. Okay, because you
And
don't
then-
want moisture creeping up through.
No,
into
no.
the kitchen.
Well, it never had one. I mean, the house has been here for 70 odd years, and it's always bone dry under there, so it's not been a problem really. But I went ahead and put the vapor barrier down anyway when I moved in, just to help out and put in some insulation because when I moved in there was no insulation under the house.
Okay, that's the other thing, isn't it? You've got to,
Yeah.
albeit it doesn't get that cold in Florida, you still want to save money. You know, you don't want to be heating the house.
It helped
when
a
you
little
don't have
bit.
to.
It helped a little bit. I mean, the house is a 47 build, but new windows, new modern windows, insulation underneath.
Double glazing.
Yeah,
windows.
new insulation
Yeah.
up top because I had to suck all that out after the hurricane because it got damp up there. So all probably about a third of the insulation up in the attic was rat and mouse poop anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got squirrels and raccoons and everything else. So we got rid of all that crap.
Good.
Yeah. And then I was out in the
So
yard.
effectively, by the new year, you will have effectively, really, given all the work that you've had done on the house, is a new house, really.
Pretty
new
close.
windows, everything refurbed, new bathroom, because a lot of people are doing that over here in the UK because the downturn in the economy. Instead of buying another house, moving, they're doing extensions and they're doing, refurbs to make
Right.
the house that they're currently in more suited to their family needs and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, absolutely, way to do it. Cheaper way to do it in that respect. You're not going to spend $500,000 on a house
Yeah.
when you spend a few $100,000 doing the refurb.
Well, I did the main bathroom in the back, the master bathroom, when I moved in like 12 years ago. I did that myself with some hiring some plumbers to do plumber stuff because I don't mess with the plumber stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm doing some of this as we go too. Just because it's
Just a second pair of hands, then. Just
yeah,
extra pair of hands.
and theoretically I won't
Okay.
get billed for the stuff I get, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that was the way. I love the way I had the back when we moved in here. The architect of the house decided that the patio, the barbecue area. You remember where you sat
Yeah.
when you had your fish and chips? Well, that was grass when we moved in because the architect thought it was aesthetically better to have grass. I was like, that's crazy. So
So when you walk in from the back garden, you drag grass right up into your house. Yeah, good idea.
absolutely, that's the way to do it. Good old architect.
Then the grass dies and there's a mud pit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can't use it for anything. So I had that slabbed down. So I did I ordered all the stuff. I ordered the slabs. I ordered the sand, the screed, everything, and I just cash paid 2 guys who were working on the rest of this estate to come and do it on a weekend. You know what I mean? Give them a few £100 to come and do it. You know what I mean? There's no tax involved. So we did all that, and it was all done. And I tell you what, it was a better job than if we'd got.
He's just kidding. He's just kidding, Kier.
What kind of hobbit hates grass?
Somebody paid the tax, I'm sure. He's just kidding.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, somebody.
It's gonna be a knock at your door.
Yeah. So I think.
Mr. Hobbit, a word with you.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so yeah, there was some tax involved, I'm sure.
Yeah. Somebody paid it somewhere.
Not to do with me. I just paid for services rendered.
Yeah, not your fault.
Yeah. No. Anyway, channel news.
Channel news. Well, this is channel news because it's what I did yesterday. I also spent the day out in the yard. So I have a pretty large yard. It's I don't know 3 or 4 times your size, and I'm in. Well, I was gonna say I'm in Florida. Stuff grows. Stuff grows in England too, but you get it. So if you leave stuff for a while, things grow, and then you go. I have this project I got to do, but before I can get to that, I got to do this project because that's in the way, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then you get halfway through, and you're like, well, I need to shift over, and I'm already here. Let me do this.
Yeah.
Because I'm still clearing out the spot and getting it ready for the new shed. I finally got the rest of the azalea roots out, and then I had to cut back another bush so when he brings it back through the yard, it doesn't get in the way. So that bush got chopped down. That turned into a more of an event because the further I got into that azalea, the more I went, I should just cut this whole damn thing out. I don't even know why it's here.
Yeah.
Then I've got a trash tree next to the house, which trees are at a premium around here since they all got knocked down. But it's just a trash tree, and it's got multiple trunks now that we've allowed. It grew fast, which is nice, but now it's a mess. I'm like, well, now I need to start. Now I need to start cutting pieces of this thing down. And then I got into the back where my wheelbarrow and stuff was, and I guess because the tree in the backyard drops leaves more or less all year round. It's kind of a lot in the spring and a lot in the fall, but also year round. So that back corner where 2 fences come together, corner fences, a lot of leaves get back there, and I guess we had a nice wind event because it was like a snowdrift. I hadn't even noticed it, and I had just like 20 or 30 wheelbarrow loads of freaking leaves to drag out to the front to get picked up.
It's a nightmare because these days you can't just make a little bonfire and burn everything. in the middle of the. In the
I considered that. I'm like, I should burn these stupid things.
Yeah,
But I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of the town, so I can't really do that.
Yeah. There'll be smoke violations of some sort that
Yeah.
you've broken. So you can't. I mean, here we used to be able to have a little bonfire in the backyard and just burn your garden rubbish. Now it's a nightmare. You've got to put it in the green bin, or you've got to bag it, and people will take it, or it goes in a skip. Blah 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 blah. You're like, really? I mean, back in the day, my old man used to set fire to everything. And it was as simple as that. Burn it.
I did
Anyway.
the classic. I also did the classic when we took the windows out from the storm. I saved about 8 of them.
Yes,
Because they're kind of cool.
You do, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm going to do something with these. I'll build something cool or whatever. So I stacked them up in the backyard. I just chucked them yesterday.
No way.
Like
That was
4 years
that
later.
was like 6, 4 years ago.
Yeah, I uncover all the leaves and like, there's those stupid windows. And I thought to myself, are you ever going to do anything with those?
I bet the intention was that you were going to make like a glass framed greenhouse just to stack.
That's exactly right. Something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. But I've got a skip out front because of the rest of the
okay.
construction. I went, you know what?
Yeah.
They just chuck those. They'll go away. They're no longer sitting in my yard rotting. I'm like, fine.
That's good. Out of the way.
All right, tanks. What else? Let's see. Hunter Battle Challenge is ongoing. I have actually had some movement on that. I think I finished the Selma last time.
Right.
But the Blesk is cruising along. I'm at 59% on that, having a lot better time with that one. 76 battles there. The Lorraine is at 75. The Lorraine is... I was looking at this. Like, why do I suck so bad in the Lorraine? I'm like, well, because you're about 300 or 400 off of your average Tier 9 heavy damage.
Yeah,
So it's usually about 22 to 2,500, and I'm at 1,900. So I'm just not doing the damage with this thing.
No.
I don't know why it's so bad. I don't know.
I think it's very soft. I think it's got soft armor, hasn't it? That's its problem.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe in this last 25, I'll try to stop being a heavy as much. I mean, you got to play situationally. You can't just go, I'm going to do X or Y. But maybe I'll try to focus a little more on being a heavium or something. Don't know. But I feel like when I do that,
it's fairly reasonable speed-wise. I mean, it's not medium speed.
It's okay.
But it's fairly reasonable, yeah. So maybe just try and play it like a heavy medium. Morning, Major Tom.
See, I need to set it up maybe for a mobility setup.
Yeah, probably get a turbo on it or something.
Yeah,
Get it moving a bit quicker.
I might try that. We'll see what happens. Don't know. This may not be the setup either. Don't know. We'll see. I got an IA, a rammer, and a vert step, so it's just helping the gun handling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got great gun handling at .26 with my setup. That's pretty damn good.
Happens all the time, Brute. Absolutely happens all the time. I love it when the people do that. You know, when you get into a game and somebody types straight away, "Oh, this is a loss," because they've got some sort of mod attached that tells them the win rate of all the players. Oh, loads of news, we lost, and then you win the game. Awesome.
Yeah. All right, what else? Working on the Patton KR still, sitting at 52.
Still on that?
Yeah, sitting at 52% on that. We got 54 battles. I don't play it a whole bunch, but it's in the rotation a bit. I am kind of looking forward to Battle Pass being over so I can finish up some of those Tier 6s.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. That'd be cool because Frontline's in tomorrow, I think, isn't it? When we get to it, we talk about it. But yeah, Battle Pass is finishing when? 26.
Battle Pass is done on the 26th, guys, and your 4th special chapter is done today. So if you're going to slide the slider or finish up to get the, what is that thing called? The Felice?
The Felice.
I actually slid the slider on the Felice.
You did?
Yeah, because I'm only on the 41st stage of the 2nd Battle Pass. I've only done...
Yeah, I'm only on 20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one and 4/5. I'm going to end up sliding the slider on the other one, too, in the week or so.
The Felice has got a fairly mediocre rep at the moment. I think.
Yeah, here it
people's
is.
win rates are 2-3% below when using that tank than their average. If you look at the.
I haven't looked at it. Yeah, is that right? That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tank performance. I like how it's tank performance and not tank stats. That's odd. All right, mediums. Win rate. Feliz. Navidad. Whoa. Wait. Oh, yeah. It's mid. Yeah. It's no K91-2, whatever that is. It's no KPZ50T or T55. But it's definitely in the mid range. Also, the players, that's interesting. Let's look at that. Might as well. So the check it out. The player win rate on it is pretty high. So yeah, it's underperforming. It's underwater by 2% on the win rate differential, and that's one. Wow. So that's a slightly misleading. Is it misleading? It can be, depending on how you interpret it. If you look down here, all the bad ones have bad win rate differentials, but they've also got low player win rate, so that's kind of even worse. This has a relatively high player win rate, but it is underwater for those players, rolling it at only 49.33. It's being played a lot. You know, that's like one of the most played. No, not necessarily. Only got the patent tank. I didn't realize the patent was a medium. Is it? It is. I thought that was a heavy.
Oh no! It's a medium. It's a medium, isn't it?
Wow.
I make that mistake quite often. I'm thinking it's a heavy when I go into game. If I select it, I go into game. I'm thinking, oh shit, no, it's a medium.
They're kind of similar, though, aren't they?
Generic.
They're kind of similar in speed and capability, aren't they?
Mm.
Other than the patent has a much larger Tuma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the patent was just free, right? They just gave it to us?
Yeah, they gave it to us. I can't remember what it was. It was some event of some sort.
It was just like straight up given, though, right?
Yeah. It was just, it appeared in your garage, didn't it?
I mean, if there was a mission for it, it was very easy, extremely easy, because everyone's got one.
I don't know there was a mission.
I don't think there was either. Yeah, you might be right.
I think you just opened your game up. You got it. Was it last Christmas, Cliffy? Oh, I thought it was further back than that. Oh well.
Was it just a Christmas? You just had to log in. That's insane. Insane in the membrane. All right. What else? We've got. I've been playing some MechWarrior 5 clans. Moved on to the next set of missions. So I'm done fighting the pirates. I think we talked a little bit about this, or maybe I did when I went solo.
I was there, was I? So
there's this like overarching storyline, right? It's got a campaign, and you're playing as a certain person. So you're that person. You don't get to be your own person. You don't get to create your own character. I don't know if you can do that. Is there a campaign that's not attached to a campaign in that game, fellas? I don't know yet. I haven't dug into it enough. But it's kind of annoying, actually, because the dialogue is largely stupid. And when you're in the middle of a mission, all of your teammates are babbling. They're like commenting on the current situation, or they're talking about how these inner sphere people are scum and they have no honor, and it's this guy. So you're killing all these other mechs, and this mech shows up, and it's some important NPC that's an inner sphere warrior guy from Clan Kurita or whatever it is, and everyone's commenting about how this guy fights better than all the rest, and I can tell the difference. I'm like, I don't know, we're just destroying him too. So your character, or actually it's one of the other characters, because there's 5 of you. The main one is obviously the guy that you play, although I think you can fight as the other people if you want, and you do.
Oh, okay. So the others are AI. They're not real players.
Yeah. There's 5 of you. You can actually play any of the 5 in the battle. You can move from mech to mech if you want to. Oh. But the main character is Jaden, is his name.
Right. And that's who you become when you.
Yeah, there's 2 women, and
Right.
3 guys. There's actually another guy who died in training.
Right.
And then when you graduate, this other female shows up, and then she's now that's your star. It's called a star. It's you fight as a group of 5,
Right.
and so she's like you're not sure about her because she's the new teammate kind of thing.
Okay.
And the other people have been with you from the beginning, which is extremely unusual because so many new warriors die in training that almost never does an entire 5 ship get through. Now yours didn't either, but he died on the very last one, right? So you're special somehow, I guess. I don't know. But they just talk. They babble. I don't even know what they're saying. I'm too busy shooting stuff, and they're frickin' just babbling. And I think from being a flight lead, from being a instructor pilot, flying fighters, all that stuff, people jabbering on the radio for no reason is right out. And I know even if you're on an op, people aren't just jackjawing on the radio, talking about who knows what the hell they're talking about. Like that would get shut down immediately. Ay, ay, ay. It's just, the more I think about it, the madder it makes me. It's just so dumb.
Yeah.
God. And then, of course...
I find this thing, because I would say, in my own opinion, the majority of game developers and game makers probably haven't been in a military situation. There are some that do that, and I get it. So haven't been within the military. Now, I'm not saying you need to be in the military to make a war game or anything else like that. But you're quite right. When it comes to that sort of thing, the finer detail of stuff, you just know that they haven't experienced that, because they would understand that that doesn't go on. And the other thing that doesn't go on, all the time this happens, is that there's always adversarial situations between the same members of a team.
Right.
So, and when you look into it and you listen to it and you think, that would never happen in real life, because if you were a team of 4 and you were each other's throat and you were so competitive that you wanted to be top dog, you wouldn't be in the team of 4, would you? You'd be in a team of 1, because the other 3 would go, why don't you F off?
Leadership would have already shifted you around.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be stacking plates in the cookhouse.
But it's like you said, though. If you're for movies and entertainment and stuff, you've got to have some of the drama. So on the one hand, you have to understand that is important. But in the game, but I guess I bring it up because there's the battle between, when you have a game like MechWarrior, between people who want a good campaign and immersion, as somebody said, I think Cliffy.
Yeah.
And then the people who want it to be more of a sandbox where I can kind of make my own story. But I think generally people are somewhere in between that. Some leaning maybe towards campaign, like a story campaign, and some leaning towards more open world. So it's difficult, I think, to nail those down, especially for the open world, because open worlds can often feel very empty because there is no thrust to it. Some games do it better. They have kind of a general overarching idea that isn't a railroad. You're not on rails through the missions and all that stuff. I find that MechWarrior Clans right now, anyway, for me to be a little bit too much on rails, because every time I come back from a mission, there's some cut scene where people start arguing about shit, and I'm like, I don't care about any of this.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. And, sometimes they'll punch each other and stuff. You're like, what is going on here?
This is not the crew room I remember.
Yeah. Oh, man. And then all of the dialogue, the whole idea of the clans from the Outer Rim is... they're very militaristic.
Yeah.
But it's like someone said, or you said, it's Hollywood's fever dream, or some developer's fever dream of what a militaristic society would be like. Some blue hair has done this dialogue from HR. I don't know.
I would love to come into a game. I thought at one point, I think it was Red Dawn, or it was another game which was about the outback, basically in the wilds of nowhere, and it was proper open world to some extent. So there was obviously a stage where you would do a boss fight and all the rest of it, but the rest of it was made up as I can't remember. It was Red Dawn or something. It was another one.
Yeah.
I'll think of the game, but that I would love a game where it's just completely open world and free. So yeah, there's missions you can do and all that sort of stuff, but you just live your life and survive, independent of the game's requirements. I mean, to some extent, DayZ's a little bit like that, but I would love a game like that where you create your own character, you go out, you do survival, you do whatever it is, you know, and within that there are set missions that don't get you progression in your life, but gives you certain rewards for doing it, maybe, or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's just like that would be so immersive, and then get a VR set, stick that on. That'd be absolutely. I wouldn't.
Well,
it's not. Live in the real
it's
world
not
again.
easy, obviously. I mean,
no.
You're asking for kind of asking for the world. If you want to be the hero of the story, there has to be a story. You can create your own story, but a lot of people can't do that. And the more open world things tend to be, the more empty they feel, kind of idea.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3, I sort of fell out. It's a great game, and the mechanics and the way it's put together and everything is absolutely fantastic. It's a great game, but I hated the tadpole mind flayer background story of it. Drove me crazy. I didn't want anything to do with it. It was stupid. Hated it. Hated everything about it. I didn't want to deal with it. Every time that part of, because that was the main story, you know. I didn't have any problem with being in the Mind Flayer ship and that being the first thing, and that's how you got out into the world. But just that you were stuck with this idiotic story just drove me crazy. Hated. So I couldn't get back into it. Once I got tired of dealing with that, I'm like, okay, I mean, great game, fantastic. I hope people can put modules in there that don't have that crap in it. That'd be great. But I don't.
If they have a story that is required, then make information in that story essential to the gameplay. So have tidbits of information.
Well, they do that.
You would need to see that. So you would like ways to kill something, or navigational tips and things like that. Just something that makes the story real to the game, rather than just this backstory that people want to throw out there that people get fed up with.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Cliffy. I don't think the first Baldur's Gate, but when they say Baldur's Gate, it's a place, not necessarily just one campaign, because the first Baldur's Gate campaign was from many, many years earlier in the same place. So. And maybe there was one that had to do with the mind flayers and all that stuff. But like I said, I don't know. It was too reliant and stuck on that thing. And then the other thing is here's another thing I don't care. We've talked about this before, but I don't care about, especially in RPGs, is romances and that shit. I don't care.
It's not needed, is it? You know what I mean?
I'm like, especially the ones that the blue hairs like.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Honestly, go outside, touch grass.
Yeah, breathe some air.
Why is this in a video game? I don't get it. Thought the open world survival plan, Kenshi, it is challenged open world. Yeah, there you go. There used to be games if you didn't pay attention or write down. Yeah, Grendel, that's 100%, man. And that's a balance too. You know, I say all this stuff. I totally understand the challenges going one way or going the other way. I do want some help along the way, comfort or quality of life stuff. I don't want to have to remember every bit of dialogue for some obscure clue to get through something. Some people love that, and that's what's great though, because some people love all that stuff. All the stuff I just said that I didn't like, people love because they sell those games all the time. They sell a lot of them, so that's great. I'm just saying what my druthers are, but I do remember that sometimes you'd be digging through tons of dialogue or text or a book or something, trying to find stuff. But all those games have layers like that. You know, you see videos on YouTube all the time, people finding some obscure little clue and then following that clue and finding there's an entire
Yeah.
another mission that opens up if
Yeah.
you do this, that, and this, and
Yeah.
somehow people figure that stuff out, which that blows my mind.
Yeah.
That actually blows my mind.
Dedication to playing that, isn't it? When people
Sometimes I wonder if these are actually just people who are smart in coding, who can kind of dig in and find where some of this stuff is, and then kind of follow those breadcrumbs and figure it out. I'm not convinced every time it's just somebody playing the game, but it could be someone that smart. But it's funny how they find these things.
I know. Gamers will game, exactly, Banzai.
Yeah, Sergeant Major Rock. Most of the modern ones do that pretty well now. They've unless it's a super hardcore one specifically set up to not do that. Most of your big games now will have some kind of clue on how to finish stuff and get to the guy, especially after you've finished it. They don't try to hide the. But yeah, I've gone through that. Neverwinter Nights was very good. I played that many, many, many times, and that one was modded a lot. People made full modules for that one, which were pretty good. Yep. All right, cool. Are we done with channel news? I think that's it, fellas. We should have. Well, let's look at Thanksgiving. I think that's a Thursday, though, right? 20. All right, so I'm planning on being here at least for the next 2 weeks.
Cool.
So I don't see any issues with any of that. As far as the stream goes, I have no days off this week, but I will try to sneak one in somewhere. That just means I have less hours to work the day in those days. So, but the renovation, unfortunately, nearly every day I come home, it soaks up more of my time. So that's every time I try to sneak in a stream. But we'll try. We'll see what we can do.
Cool.
All right, cool. So it is time to shill.
Have you replaced the back?
Nope.
Nope. You need to speed
It's
yours
going.
up, dude.
Come on. Mine has stamina.
Oh, well, yeah, fair enough. Yours
Yeah.
is just
You might
longevity.
be fast, but I've got stamina.
Yeah, you got longevity.
As we said, the last day for the 4th chapter is today. It's actually this morning for us at like 5 a.m. on NA. So if you're going to slide the slider, somebody was actually talking about it in there. I agree with them. If you're going to slide the slider, you might as well spend the gold to get the extra bonuses. You're not getting the Felice without getting the improved pass anyway. So at a minimum, you paid 3,500 gold for the dumb thing. The last day for Battle Pass is the 26th, so you've got Math and Public 9-ish days. That's that. There is some gold available in a World of Warplanes event up to 1,000. I haven't dug into it, but I know it's out there. Those two are gold in tanks and World of Warplanes can be interchangeably used. So I guess I could go over and buy a bunch of World of Warplanes premiums and then be that guy. Yeah, elite. Freaking elite, dude. Frontline starts tomorrow. That's a good thing. But we'll talk about elite in a minute. But let's go ahead and check out what we've got in, because it's not a whole bunch. All right. The premium shop. There's nothing in here, fellas. They are selling, because Frontline is coming back, you can get a Progetto for $44. They also think the LT432 is good for Frontline. It probably is for $28. I don't know why they think the KTTS is a Frontline tank, but if you want to, you can buy it. And then the old standby, the T26 E5P Patriot.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot better heavy tanks for Frontline, but it is relatively mobile, has good gun depression, and a decent turret. I guess that's what it's got going for it, but it's been power crept. Probably some people, if you're curious, can throw some other advice down in the comments as to what do you guys use for Frontline. I don't use anything because I don't play it.
I tend to use the Progetto.
Do you?
The ELC, the Progetto, the ELC, maybe the Iron Arnie, and then occasionally throw an Arty in there.
How do you even get experience points in an ELC on Frontline?
Well, I guess. Well, you can actually. You can, because you can get forward and spot quite easily, and keeping people spotted. Then the other thing you can do with an ELC is as long as you've got the cap covered, you can sit on the cap quite quite happily for a long time because your camo is so good. They have to get really close to be able to spot you where you
Okay.
are.
All right.
So that's useful.
Yeah.
But as long as you've got support to do that, you don't go straight on the cap straight away. You can get that.
Man, I just feel like
and
damage is the more
for frontline, yeah. I mean, you've got the 3-clip auto loader, so
yeah.
you can do near deads in an ELC. You can whiz around them and do the old circle of death on them. That's quite fun.
Yeah.
You know,
I just think a
gold,
light tank is kneecapping yourself a bit. I do enjoy a light tank on frontline, at least when I played it back in the day, but I really think mediums are the way to go, like guys
Oh,
are
they
saying.
definitely are mediums the way
Yeah.
to go. I mean, if you play definitely if you play the EU server, every tank is a Progetto of some sort.
Yeah.
Everything is an automatic
Yeah.
medium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you got the tier 10 fast track bundles. That's under featured. Nothing on battle pass. Nothing on gold really. That's it, fellas. We've gone through the whole thing. These are all the standard tanks. There's no interesting tanks other than the Progetto and the tanks that are for frontline. And you've got the 3D styles, and that's pretty much it. If we go over to the client and we take a look at missions, you have probably, if you've played any at all, finished your Polish Independence Day missions. Check your decals and whatnot. There are some that can be sold in there. Another one I thought about today, because I actually was digging around and figured it out. You may have a bunch of paint, and if you don't use just straight paint, not camo, but the paint, which remember, paint doesn't give you camo, which is dumb, by the way. It should. If you put paint on the whole, I don't know why it is you can't get camo off of purple paint, but you can get camo off of some of the other ridiculous camos out there, you know, like lightning bolts and shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that stuff you can sell.
Christmas presents. You know.
Yeah, paint you can sell, especially free paint. So you might want to dig around in there. Basically, go to your garage, like a so, go to exterior, and then go to paints, which is where I am. All of these base paints are sellable. Unfortunately, the non-historical are not sellable. Neither are the special. So you can see I can't sell those. That's too bad. But these, what do they call them? Base. These are all sellable, and you can make some cash off of those if you don't like them or don't want them. I don't know. Why do I have more exterior stuff here? This is what I'm talking about. Okay, this is camo. All right. What were we talking about? Oh, missions.
Yeah.
I went off on a tangent. So your Polish Independence Days are probably done. This one you can still do for however long this goes, to November 18th. So you can get the daily. That's not bad. Some Schmelnack and some other doodads every single day, once a day. And then that's pretty much it, other than top of the tree stuff. I didn't realize this is pretty good. There's 2-watt salutes. Remember, I'm getting a automatic and 2 large kits every day, just for playing a battle. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's it on the missions there, fellas, other than your battle pass stuff. Das Dat on missions and specials, unless I've got something else written down here. Last day, 4th chapter, battle pass done on 26, frontline tomorrow, some gold for World of Warships.
Yeah.
That's it. What are we waiting for, guys? We're waiting for Christmas. That's the big deal right there, right? Should be a thanks.
As I said, there's no news on the Prem side because we'll wait until Christmas, I think.
I mean, what do we got? We've got Thanksgiving, so there'll be something for that, probably some small event, I'd imagine, or sale or whatever. Oh, let's go ahead and talk about frickin' whatever. What is that thing called? Did anybody buy anything for the Elite sale? Yeah. I got one of the silver things. I bought was it components for silver? There was something for silver. I think I bought the 300 components for 800,000 silver or whatever it was. It was a ridiculous price, but it was silver, so who cares? That's what I did, Grindel. But I didn't notice anything else really worth my time.
Wasn't there a tank on sale for silver?
Was there? I missed it if there was.
I'm pretty sure there was, unless I've had a dream about it, but I'm pretty sure.
I think I missed a couple days. So Cliffy bought the free XP also, okay? That probably would have been a good idea, because if there's...
there you go. ASRs, the WZ 111.
Yeah.
That was on sale for silver.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it wasn't. It wasn't from the ticket thing. 10 million silver. Wow.
Well, it was in the Elite sale, but you didn't unlock it with a ticket. It was just there, right?
Yeah.
Because there was daily some stuff that was just there. Yeah. Well, so what I've got left, I think, is what I unlocked with tickets.
Oh, okay.
However, that I don't know how it works, but anyway, these are the things that I've got left, which none of which I want. It was pretty lame overall, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's sort of part of the course with wargaming at the
it,
moment.
it is, and
It's
doesn't it feel like an unforced error again?
Yeah, yeah.
Why would you
It
not
is-
offer like multiple things for a bunch of silver? I mean, the silver prices for some of those things were outrageous, but people will spend it because they got the silver.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost anything to get silver, does it? You play your game, you get silver.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you use it? Well, all right, some people on free to play might be worried about using all their silver because it's their repair costs and everything else when they play a battle. But if you've got 10, 15, 20 million sat in the silver pot, you would just use it, wouldn't you?
But they could have
Well, there is
sold like books for silver. They could have sold crew, like
Everything.
a very average crew member for silver. There's I don't know. I find they have they are a very unimaginative group of people.
Yeah.
I find
Sure,
that I
but
find the
all
devs in World of Tanks to be extremely unimaginative. So whether that's from being, I hate using the word greedy, but I mean I don't know, man. I don't get it, to be honest with you. Why they don't make their game a little more fun with stuff like that? I guess
They're probably working to a script. So you've got to maximize gold sales, maximize sales of pixel tanks, maximize. They will have a script to work to, and probably selling stuff for silver isn't even on the script.
Yeah, but if they drain silver for doodads, then people have to play to get more silver.
Yeah.
I mean that to me
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the driving engine of the game.
Yeah.
Getting people to play.
You
Anyway.
don't have players. You don't have input, both in the form of dollars and the form of numbers playing. If you don't have, you've got to incentivize people to come in and play this game.
Yeah, and if they're sitting on 200,000 silver, they don't actually really need to play that much. But if you offer a bunch of doodads for silver and drain silver, then they have to play some more to get the silver.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what the assembly shop and black market stuff does. So maybe that's their way of doing it. I don't know, but I think with something like this, it's like the Elite sale, and there was only a couple things for silver that were even interesting. I just think they could have put a few more things for silver. Nothing major, and probably for more silver than you would want to spend on it. But people with a lot of silver would go, I got tons. I play a lot.
Or
Let me just get that.
even do it as a dual price thing, so you can have this for gold or silver.
Yeah, you could do that.
And use the conversion rate that they use for themselves for silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could, Wayne, balance the tanks.
Wayne, come on now. Jeez.
Did you have your survey? Did you get your survey?
No. Did you tell them how old you are?
Yeah, I got the old I got the old survey yesterday. Clicked on it. What do you think of World of Tanks? Would you recommend it to a friend? Blah blah blah. All that sort of good stuff.
Took it right up the old survey.
There you go. And then, how old are you? And it was like, I was 175. I'm the only one.
As hobbits do. They're long lived.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's that. I think that's everything for missions and specials. All right. This is fun here. Let's go ahead and check out Wargaming's video. You guys seen the concealment video?
Do you know what? I haven't. So this will be a first time look.
Today we'll talk about concealment. Wrap your camo nets tight around you. Let's begin.
You guys hear it?
No, not now. Could hear it before.
Cannot hear it. Okay. Let me change. I think I know what I need to do. We'll put the sounds into my earphones. Headphones. Yeah.
This video overlaps with the previous episode about the view range system. We won't go over all the mechanics again, since we did that in the previous video. You can find it in the info card and description. Today, we'll talk more about how to improve and use your concealment. But first, let's go through the main terms.
The main
If your
terms.
tank has been spotted, you'll see a warning light bulb, but only 3 seconds later. Keep in mind that that's more than enough time for your turret to be hit.
Well, it's more than enough time for my entire tank to be hit. I mean, I see what they did there, but interesting. Okay,
When the enemy stops spotting you,
that doesn't even have a turret anyway.
you'll be visible for
No.
10 more seconds. Always remember that.
Okay.
But how do you remain unspotted?
Bad example.
Every vehicle has its own concealment value. It affects what penalty the enemy will receive to their view range value. So whether you're spotted or not depends not only on your concealment, but also on the enemy's view range. Concealment depends on the vehicle size and type. As a rule, light tanks have the best concealment. For medium tanks, it's average. And heavy tanks, well, hide and seek is not for them. Tank destroyers usually have good concealment, but only when stationary. Concealment heavily depends on what your tank is.
Why did it get hit the literal second it started moving?
Because there's an ELC out there somewhere.
Was he already spotted, or was somebody aimed in on the bush?
That'll be it.
The literal second he moved, he got hit. All right. Something else happened in that scenario already. All right.
Doing. If it's stationary, the value is at its highest. If it's moving, then it's significantly lower. Concealment when stationary and on the move is only the same for light tanks. Finally, when you shoot, your concealment drops to its lowest. When you're hiding, shooting is the best way to reveal yourself. Bushes provide...
I mean, it's funny. I understand what they said there, but it's kind of a weird way to say it. It almost was like a positive. Like, when you're hiding, the best way to reveal yourself is you want to shoot. Like, okay, that was actually...
Yeah.
His point was the opposite of that, but it was interesting the way they said it.
a great concealment bonus and allow you to hide almost right under the enemy's nose. To do that, you need to cover all your vehicle's visibility checkpoints.
Why does that tank not have any camo on it? A light tank without camo. They do mention this later, but I don't understand why that tank doesn't have camo on it.
In or behind the bush. The crowns of trees work in the same way, but only the crowns. You can't hide a tank behind a tree trunk, so it's best to fell it.
You can if it's very skinny.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think the trunk has any camo at all, so it probably doesn't matter. So I've always sort of wondered about this, and I kind of knew it. This is nice to get this confirmation.
This rule doesn't apply to conifer trees, since they have low crowns.
Something to also understand on that is, depending on elevation, you may be getting camo from the crown of a high-crowned tree because of the angle, the relative angle between you and the other guy. And so if you're, especially, say, Mount Ophir, guys on the hill looking down the forest. I see people knock trees down all the time, but sometimes you knock that tree down and you back up into an open area. Now where that tree used to be like this, now it's like this, and now they've got a line of sight to you. So it's not always the best idea to knock trees down.
You can leave them standing. Both trees and bushes are divided into two types, with and without foliage. The concealment bonus from leafless vegetation is only half the one leafy vegetation provides.
So somebody help me here, because I think not all bushes and trees are created equal, regardless of whether it has leaves or not. I think even leafy bushes and trees can have slightly different camo. I think that's my understanding. Does anybody know? Used to be different in some. Not sure if that's still the case. Yeah. Now this seems to indicate it's not. That's an inference because it doesn't directly say that. But right now, from what it's saying, it's like it says there's two kinds: without leaves and with leaves. Also interesting in that it's using a downed tree here, one without leaves and one with leaves. It's not talking necessarily about bushes, or it's not showing bushes. Let me put it that way. Yeah, so I think they're I don't know, as Cliffy said, whether it's still true, but there's a possibility there's more to this than just what they've said here.
But it's a bonus nonetheless. So
But yes, trees without leaves have less camo. What the relative camo of other bushes and trees are, that's a question. Some bushes were bugged. Okay.
remember this difference.
All right, this graphic's driving me crazy, and maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but let's go through it.
If there's more than one bush between you and your opponent, their bonuses add.
Okay. They drop the second bush in, right?
No.
And then they have this graphic. And I realize the graphic is continuing to move on, but for right now, it's telling me that there's two bushes between these guys. This guy gets plus 80 and this guy gets plus 50, but is there not two bushes between both of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
What am I missing? This guy's closer to the bushes, so he gets better bush? Or is it just that the graphic isn't finished? But if it isn't finished, why wouldn't they just have one bush and then drop a second bush down? Because watch what they do. First bush blocks the second bush from the red side. But there's still two bushes, though. It's opaque. That shouldn't have anything to do with it. That's just whether you can see through. Oh, wait. Clippy's on. Okay, now I think I understand. This guy can see through this bush because he's close enough. So he's really only looking through one bush. Is that it? But it's not very good in terms of telling, of explaining that right now. Does that make sense, Pilgrim?
Yeah. Do you know why? Now, let me think of the map's name. I tell you what it is. It's the map that has a high ridge line down the middle with a some form of tower on it. You then got the right hand side, which is the heavy brawling and the TD area, which has a little cutaway between the ridge that they get in, and normally you've got if it's on an encounter, you've got a base in the middle there, and then the left hand side is all trees and everything, and all the mediums and the lights go to the left hand side. Then there's a bit of water further on the left. If you spawn this, I can't remember the name of the map, but when you get into those trees, and invariably you'll get a light tank will run up along the edge line of the trees and come to try and spot anything crossing over into the wooded area. And what I tend to do is I sit, instead of going into, because there's like undulations you can get to, and then there's an open bit which is the enemy side. If you get into the undulations, then you're invariably spotted from the lights on your right if you're going that way. What I do is sit back, and then I've got a line of bushes just by a little building, a line of bushes. Then it's sort of like a tree line, then it's open, and then you've got the undulations, and then on the right you've got loads of trees. So I pull back, so I've got that bush line is slightly opaque, but then everything else is dark. And
right.
When they get spotted the other side, I can shoot and never get spotted by anything.
Right.
So I can fire at these things on
right.
the right hand flank.
Right.
Without
because there's a solid bush between you.
Solid bush between.
That's the 15. That's the 15-meter rule, which is what's going on right here, or at least that I think that's the correct answer here. This guy on the left here is actually is close enough to this bush that it's not blocking his view. So he's only looking
That's it.
through one
Yeah,
bush. This guy
Yeah,
is
yeah.
looking through 2 bushes.
2 bushes.
That makes
It's
that
so
makes
far away.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Morning. Oh, Pilgrim saying morning. Good morning, Zimbo. And so, okay, that now I get it.
Double bushes work better than single ones.
It's again, going through every single tiny detail on these is difficult to do in a 7-8 minute video, but something like that I think was important enough that they could have mentioned it in there.
Well, I think so because it's pretty much basic rules.
Yeah.
It's pretty much it.
But I've been around the game for a very long time, and it took me a while to figure out exactly why that math was mathing that way, right?
Yeah.
All right. And it's not inherently
And they're not
obvious.
crazy
It's
No.
not inherently obvious that he's close enough to be seeing through it. This is just an
Yeah,
assumption
yeah.
on our part. There's nothing here that
Yeah,
says 15 meters or, hey, this guy
Yeah.
is looking. Actually, what they should have done is put him up in the bush.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Like you would a light tank or what? You would sit inside the bush
Yeah.
unless you were going to fire.
All right.
But there are situational bushes in a number of maps, and one that sticks to mind is, and I'm sorry, I can never remember the names of the maps, but it's the one
Himmelsdorf.
That has, yeah, it's definitely a Himmelsdorf, but it's the one that has the town in the middle with a ridge line on one side and then 2 ships in the middle of the ground. How they get there, you never
Ghost
know.
Town.
Ghost Town, that's it. Himmel's Ghost Town Dorf. On that one, if you spawn in the, let me work it out. If you spawn in the north, that's not good. If you spawn in the south, there's like a hill line where the TDs sit. There's a hill, isn't it? That's the TDs sit on, and then there's this undulating hill that goes that way, and then the TD sits up in that corner behind the ships. Well, there's a bush on one of those undulations, which is, it looks like a scraggly 3-stick Christmas tree. Right? But that actually has camo, massive camo. Because I have sat in there and not been spotted.
Yeah.
You know, not been spotted by the guys on the hill at all.
There are some bushes that look like bigger tufts of grass that actually provide camo. Yeah. It would be nice to know which ones actually provide camo. And the smaller your tank is, there are places that ELCs and Manticores, especially ELCs, can get into that other even light tanks can't because they're too big and their spotting points are sticking out. So there are places like that. All right, so we figured this out. That's good.
The only time vegetation doesn't cut your view range is if you're close enough to it that it's transparent in your reticle.
So there's the information that made the other graphic make more sense after the other graphic.
That said, the concealment parameter is decreased for vegetation within 15 meters around you when you fire.
Okay. Hold on here.
Double bushes work better than single ones. The only time vegetation doesn't cut your view range is if you're close enough to it that it's transparent in your reticle. That said, the concealment parameter is decreased for vegetation within 15 meters around you.
Okay, I was dreaming of maps.
This is one of the mechanics I don't quite understand. Because the problem is you don't know if you've been spotted from a different angle, but I have felt like I've pulled back 15 meters from a bush, fired, and still been spotted.
Yeah. I think it's very situational. Maybe when you're pulling back 15 meters, you see, it's very difficult to understand where all your spotting points are. So if you've got, well, yeah, exactly, Kedge. If you've got somebody with CVS, they burn through enough to take your spotting point.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer concealed. I mean, that is.
Well, guys, it could be CVS. So that's the real answer there, I think. Just because it's solid doesn't mean you're absolutely not going to be spotted. It's camo, but it's not 100% camo. So depending on how much camo you lost and what camo that bush has and what the burn through is the other guy has, you may still get spotted even though you have an opaque bush, I think is the point there.
When you fire.
The other one to watch out for is, even though you're 15 from, I'm pointing at the screen, you guys can't even see it. Let's say you are, put it on here. All right, there's my markers. Let's say you're 15 from the bush line right here, although these bushes just completely disappeared in that graphic. Where'd they go? Oh, there they are. You're 15 from these, but you could have a bush closer like here, and somebody spotting from that direction. You actually don't. You're getting even worse camo from that bush. So it depends on where the various people are who might be spotting you.
And there's gaps in bushes, and there's little, V-shaped gaps that your top spotting point could be seen through.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff,
Yeah, so I think while 15 meters will make the bush opaque, or make the bush solid, sorry, not opaque, make the bush solid, sometimes that's not quite far enough.
Putting it simply, you can spot enemies when you're close to bushes, but will be spotted yourself after shooting. If you roll back, you won't be able to spot, but can shoot while remaining unseen.
Sort of. I mean, if you have the gun depression, that was a weird one for me too, because you can shoot while remaining unseen. Well, he's not shooting anything, because at that position, you can't actually get up, make the bush solid, and take shots.
No.
It's too close to the top, and it's too steep. It just doesn't work in that particular position. Plus that shit. Plus that example.
Head for cover.
Let's go back.
Often, but putting it simply, you can spot.
Plus that example isn't what he just said. That's not what that tank just did. So.
No. You've also got to have the right mindset. If you have the mindset that you're going to be a light tank spotting, then at that point you're not going to be firing your gun anyway. I've now got to a point, it's took me a long time, where I resist the temptation to fire because there's no point. Because the minute you fire, you're giving yourself away. So it's far better to maximise the assistance points, and then late game, when you have that ability to finish off, then do the finishing off thing.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be useful there, Gator.
Spot the enemy.
That would be useful.
All right, so he actually managed it on that one. Maybe I'm wrong. He's backed up just enough.
To fell a tree, you don't.
So, I think I don't know about exactly at that position, but I still think you can't do that. I think what happened in that particular case is the other tank was further back from the bush. And I think and it was actually a double bush situation against the guy he just shot.
Yeah.
I think if anyone was closer to that bush, he'd have been spotted in that situation.
Yeah.
So there's more to it right there, because I have had that happen in that bush where I'm backing out to take a shot. I notice the other guy's backing out. Why? Because his light went off. I shoot, he gets hit, and I don't get lit. But that's because both of us pulled back enough that now I've got a 2-bush solution here, not a 1-bush on either side for either one of us.
Yeah. And of course, nothing's on your flank to spot you as you move back anyway. So that's the other thing.
This is actually a pretty good example of why this is bad.
Very dangerous sometimes. You can load an HE shell and.
But he says that, and the guy gets hit, but he doesn't explain it.
No.
It's and this is where people go, oh, someone's cheating. Like, okay, no, the explanation is, it seems obvious to most of us, but if you're a new player, it may not be. If you knock a tree down, somebody may see that on the other side, and they may take a blind shot at that position.
Yeah.
Just a few more words to explain what the hell just happened right there.
Yeah.
Shoot at the base of the tree. This is a situational trick that isn't used often, but sometimes it can come in handy.
Somebody explain to me what he just did. What? Which is why explaining it is important. So the example they give is the Sturv drives up, knocks down his own tree, and takes a hit. The other TD's perfectly in a nice spot that doesn't need a tree knocked down because that spot has a bush. He turns and shoots a tree down right in front of his ally. In a situation where there's a known blind shooter. That's one of my favorite parts of the video. Like, whoa, man, I just got blind shot knocking down a tree. I better knock down this tree in front of my buddy and see if I can get him shot too.
Yeah, you're having some of this because I got it.
Also, that tree went that way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it went the wrong way.
can load
Because you have to actually aim at one side or the other to get it.
tree.
Let's see which way this tree goes.
Trick that isn't used often, but sometimes it can come in handy.
All right, it sort of went the right direction.
The proximity spotting distance we talked about in the last episode. At 50 meters, the enemy is guaranteed to spot you. No bushes, obstacles, or terrain can save you. The good news is that you'll
See, the
spot
funny
them
thing is
too.
about tree knocking down, if somebody's doing that round me, I just get out the whole way, because especially if there's Artie in the game. I'm like, I'm not even going to sit here because you've just knocked down half a dozen trees. And
Oh, yeah.
everybody now knows there's somebody there,
Yeah.
including Artie.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I've gone.
Yep.
Remember that the light bulb is displayed only 3 seconds later. If there's not enough room on your position to roll back 15 meters from the bush and fire, you need to get to cover after each shot, immediately, not after you see the light bulb. Keep in
That's
mind
good advice.
the time you remain spotted. If your gun takes less than 10 seconds to reload, think twice. What's more important for you? Quickly causing more damage or waiting a few more seconds to disappear and stay alive?
That's a good point. That's described decently right there.
You can count these 10 seconds based on your reload.
Yeah, I do that, Grendel. I'll knock trees down and then
If you
leave.
have an autoloader,
So then
think
Artie
how much
focuses
damage
on the
you
wrong
might
place.
receive while unloading your magazine.
This is also good advice.
If the trade is definitely in your favor, then go for it and head for cover later. Vehicles and their wrecks don't affect spotting. You can hide from enemy shells behind a heroically fallen ally, but not from their eyes. Finally, how do you hide without bushes? You need to keep an eye on the maximum view range distance on the minimap. If you stay outside all your opponent's view range, you won't be spotted. Inside it, your chances of
What's that?
Heroically fallen.
Yeah.
staying invisible are higher if
Allies.
you don't shoot and stand still. But in most cases, without a bush, you'll be spotted as soon as you roll into the enemy view range circle. This depends.
I mean, I disagree with that. He says in most cases you will be spotted as soon as you roll in, and then they're using scouts. So with scouts, you're not. Unless there's another scout with a lot of view range. More than likely, you're going to get inside the other guy's, the heavy's maximum view range. Again, it's all relative to their view range and their burn through and all that stuff. But they say they use that, most of the time or whatever, but then they use a scout to show it. I'm like, well, no, scouts will actually, especially very stealthy ones, will get quite far inside view ranges before they're seen.
on your concealment value.
Now they explain it.
Concealment can be increased in several ways. First of all, don't leave your tank in its factory paint.
Unlike us in this entire video, don't leave it in its factory paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Preset Styles tab, every 2D or 3D style gives a bonus to concealment.
Yeah, that's very true.
The
Nothing
difference
special.
is only
Absolutely.
visual, so
You
select
can,
the
you
one
can
you
set
like
up little
most.
areas that you can go
The
back to.
Custom Style
That's
tab
awesome.
allows you to paint the vehicle however you like, but you'll only get that bonus if you apply camouflage to its hull. And we mean camouflage, not one-color paint.
I like how they say, like, don't use the one colored paint because it doesn't give you camo. Then why do you sell it?
Why have you got it in? What's the point in it? Yeah.
I don't understand why the paint doesn't just give camo. We have all these non-historical, ridiculous 3D things and this, that, and the other. And what's the point of in today's game? But let them have the damn camo with the paint.
Yeah.
You can put it under the see-through. That's true. There is some customization with it, ish.
Perks. The concealment perks.
The only
significantly boosts
paint
the
I've
parameter
used,
of the same name,
everything else
and
I've got
also depends
camouflage
on
and
how
whatever it
many
is.
crew members have
The only
trained
paint
you.
I've
For the
used is
maximum
the
bonus, you need to train it
the
to
gold
100%
59G
for all
paint.
tankers.
To put it on the
Brothers in
standard
Arms
59G,
improves
so
all
it
parameters.
looks like it's a
boosts
gold one.
concealment even more, but only if the concealment perk is trained.
Those with dodgy
Improved
graphics
consumables
cards.
and improved ventilation have the same effect. Improved radio set will reduce the time you remain
This is
spotted
great.
and
Listen.
increase the time an enemy remains spotted. It might be useful sometimes, but it's not very popular.
Well, I'll give them points for honesty. It might be useful. They just redid the equipment a year or two ago, Big deal, make equipment more useful and whatnot. And they're like, well, it's useful sometimes, but it's not very popular.
Camouflage net significantly increases the
Watch
concealment
this.
value, but only for a stationary vehicle. It's a very situational piece of equipment that's most useful for some vehicle.
The grill has a turret, a partial turret. The grill doesn't need to shift its hull unless it's going to the stop, which they might have done it that way. They could have had the gun move, and then when it hit the stop, the hull turned, and they might even explain it. Or just stick with me, use an actual casemate TD.
Yes, hello. That's a bit more.
With siege
Yeah,
mode, since
that
they
would
can
make
turn
more
their hull
sense,
without
really.
disabling the net effect. Sometimes
So I think that required some discussion, right? You're like, okay, so you could, in a casemate TD or any tank, you can't, any fixed gun partial turret tank, you can move the turret and the gun all you want, but if it hits the stop and you move the hull, then you lose your camo.
yeah.
You know? And I would have put a little graphic there with his camo, and then when he shifted his hull, his camo decreases.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Anyway.
Sometimes it can also be useful for passive scouting, but in most cases, low noise exhaust is better and more versatile. It provides smaller bonus to concealment, but it works all the time, even when you're on the move or shooting.
So they're explaining the camo net and all that stuff, and then the Manticore shoots.
Keep in mind that all this may
He's
only
passive
be used
scouting.
for light tanks, sniper tank destroyers, and some medium tanks. There are many more useful pieces of equipment and perks for heavy tanks, armored medium tanks, and assault tank destroyers. Now you know how exactly to hide from the enemy's sights, but you also need to understand where and how to do it. If you hide in bushes, it's best to do so in key positions. If possible, close to the enemy with lines of fire on their key positions.
I hope you're not driving to that bush line and taking that shot. And then he runs away.
Only need bushes near the
Which he
base
probably
of
should have,
defense
because he probably got lit.
when it's obvious your team is losing a flank.
But it hasn't helped his team in any way, shape, or
No.
form, has
Standing
he?
there from the
All right, hold
start
on.
with lines of fire on
Here we
their
go.
key positions.
This whole sequence is hilarious.
You'll only need bushes near the base for passive defense.
You'll only need bushes near the base for passive defense.
To retreat when it's obvious your team is losing a flank.
So they've spent some time here actually trying to get people to not camp, and this is their attempt to do that. I think it's poorly explained. Essentially, they're saying you don't need to sit in bushes at the back of the map.
Standing there from the start of battle only makes sense in specific sniper vehicles, which are less useful in close combat. But even in
And then they show like one of the worst places. They were so far back. Oops. Oh my gosh, we're losing the plot here. All right.
standing there from the start of battle only makes sense in specific sniper vehicles, which are less useful in close combat. But even in these vehicles, there will be moments when you need to leave the bush and go help your allies nearby. For example, take the bushes in sectors K0 through D0 on Malinovka, where you'll only be really useful if your allies lose the battle for the windmill. Or you can use the bushes...
Like, the pictures were weird. That was a scout. It wasn't a TD. I see what they're trying to do, but it's just this part of it is really poorly explained. They're like, all right, basically they're saying is you need to get your gun up forward. You don't camp just because you're in a stealthy TD or a glass cannon or whatever. Yes, some of those vehicles are difficult to use up front in a brawl. That's all good, but hey, you may find yourself having to use those vehicles by moving out and fighting. But the pictures they're using are whack.
is near the windmill itself to win back key positions and the battle.
There's a lot to that, and it's good advice, but I don't know if a new player could process that. But essentially what they're saying is have a good idea where all the bushes are. Mid to late game, as you guys know, when you're running a scout, you can then use that knowledge of the bushes to move around the map stealthily, find where the enemy is, and ambush them, or at least spot them and get them dead. Yeah. So, good advice, but kind of strangely presented. Not horrible, but...
You can occupy a balcony and stay there until the end of the battle, trying to exploit enemy mistakes. Or you can fell trees in the town and shoot at heavy tanks while remaining invisible. In the second case, your influence on the outcome of the battle will be higher. It's very...
that's a massive assumption. That's an it depends. Again, I like it. Don't sit in bushes on useless flanks. So if there's not, in that case, Paris, If there's nothing going on in the field, then absolutely shift your tank. Go somewhere else. Knocking down a tree in the middle of Paris and assuming you're going to be unspotted, that's a bit dicey. Because that's hard to do right there. There are some places in those particular spots where you can knock down trees and remain unspotted. But the point is, get out, find a place for your gun to be more useful.
Yeah.
I don't think that's automatically going to make you more effective. It may, in terms of at least your thinking, but there's way more levels there.
Very important to be able to use concealment in World of Tanks, but that's not all there is to the game.
Did that tank just bounce the FV shot?
You've got to
That's
say,
it
if that
for
happens
today.
and you're the
Show
FB
this
player, you've got to be so unhappy with that.
I think the FV just bounced the WZ right there. I don't think he's very pleased.
video to your
I
friends
think you just
who put
log off.
camo on the mouse
That happened to me,
turret
I'd just
and
switch
hide
off
it
the
in
game and go,
bushes
"Stop
in
that."
the corner of the map.
This is the best part right here, though.
That's it for today. Show this video to your friends who put camo on the mouse's turret and hide it in the bushes in the corner of the map.
That's good. I'll give him credit on that one. That's fantastic. Show this to the mouse player that puts camo on his turret and hides in the corner. Agreed there. Wargaming, agreed there. All right, so we've been at it for about an hour and 20. Gone past my my normal stop
Got an
time.
empty cup now.
We're going to take a 5-minute break so I can recharge the Cafe cup. You guys will be back momentarily.
Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Now in the shadows came a mysterious chap who spoke in a tongue with strange dialect. He offered his help to the mighty Guido to bring some laughter to his love of speedos. To the coffee talk they both came to bring the message of winning ways to all and sundry and the masses. Yes, that's right, lads and lasses. The damage counts and flexing back will keep you on the right track. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. So in what, if you want to progress, then seek out Guido nonetheless. With his sidekick Pilgrim, he has a message that to win you must be aggressive. The position and place that you must seek, for the winners only, not the weak. The guru speaks, so listen well. His voice rings out like the Liberty Bell to bring you all to Unicom land, or to die hard trying in the sand. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. To the swamplands came the mountain man to teach his wisdom and pay his due. A man with a name only known to a few. To his followers his words are true. Guido is the man, big and gruff. He used to fly jets, but now he does the tanking stuff. Guido is his name, tanking is his game.
All right, we are back. So it wasn't a terrible video. We had fun with it. There was a couple things I thought that were
Yeah.
could have been done better, but every time you add more words to explain stuff, that's a longer video. So that's always a challenge to try to put that much info in like a 9-minute video. Although the point is, there's a lot more finely nuanced detail, especially in the spotting game.
Yeah, there is. I think what they've tried to do is give a basic information video about it. There is a lot more detail they could go into. To be honest, if new players watch that video and come into the game playing spotting tactics like they say in the video, I will love it because it means I'll outspot them every time. So yeah, crack on.
Well, but it's also meant as a kind of primer, right? Like a base.
Yeah.
That's the base coat, right? That's the very basic info. And honestly, if you went from not knowing anything and then using that information, you would improve
Do
your
better. Yeah,
your
of course.
concealment game impressively, and then you've got to kind of start learning all the different nuances and stuff. So it's not terrible.
And I think we've said this before. I think, and it is very subjective, but I do feel that if you can master light tank play, then you're overall a better player.
Yeah.
Because I think light tank play is so nuanced and can be so difficult. If you can get that right, then playing a medium or anything else is just so much easier to do.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep. So, I mean, they're giving it a shot, and largely I think those videos have some really good information, especially for newer players. And I've learned a couple things along the way, or at least relearned or thought about them slightly different, so that's always helpful.
Sure.
All right. What else we got here, fellas? Yeah. So, the RU is getting general chat back.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. Yep. So the floodgates are open, baby.
Oh dear.
There's a Cannon and Jagdpanzer 2 coming out. Jagdpanzer 2 with a 105. The can opener's got some screenshots here. Double barrel. Interesting tank. Is that the 8 or the 9? I'm not sure. Yeah, that's the 10. That's the tier 10. Frontline we know about. We've looked at that. The console's getting black tanks. New black tanks. That's funny that console's going to be excited about black tanks. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
This article is useless. It's actually a paid thing. It essentially takes the article from last year and just regurgitates it about Christmas this year, which, okay. China is having a World of Tanks event. This is also paid again, a paid article, but that's fans of both Online Pokies Australia, that's the advertisement for a gambling site. Anyway, this website is covered up in these things. There's a couple things here that I wanted to show. All right, here's the loot box 3D style list. So we've got a new Grill, Action X, BZ55, 5355, Taurus, and Skoda 3D styles coming out. And then we've got some older GW, EBR 105, E75, Phase 1, and Cobra. So there's old 3D styles. This was the article where I found out about the 1,000 gold. If you're interested, you can find that in the article, how that works. The Gabbler's Destroyer is going to be well-deserved reward.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're not going to get a warmed over old tank or a variation. We're going to get an actual new tank. It's wheeled but has tracks. It's kind of interesting.
Right. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So if the tracks come off the wheels, we'll continue to move then.
Don't know. Great
Really?
question. Great question. It does have a 3-shell drum though.
Of course it does. Everything's auto-loaders these days. Auto-loader, loader, reloaded.
So don't know. It is a light tank at tier 5.
Okay.
General Chad is back, as I said. That's pretty funny. And I think that was it. There was one other thing. Yeah, Gabler's Destroyer. That's where they're talking about that. That's the Russian tank. That might have been it. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, this... That's what it was. That's what it... So Watt Express, which is where a lot of these rumors come from, it's in Russian. You can get it translated on Chrome and all that if you want to do that. If you want to go straight to Watt Express. They have found some security holes with that. I don't know if you've noticed it, but sometime in the recent past, you've gone to the web page, and if you have multiple accounts, it'll say, hey, you have multiple accounts. Do you want to link them all? Apparently, there are some security flaws in that where you can bypass the two-factor and some other things based on the way you do it. And these clowns at Watt Express explain in minute detail how to do that.
Of course they did. Muppets.
And while it's not a state secret, a lot of people don't know, but if you follow their directions, then you can. And if you've got some information on people's accounts, you can basically gank their account. It's just slimy, really. I think it's enough to report on the issue, but to then explain it in fine detail how to do it, that just sucks.
It's just mental, isn't it?
Like you
That's just stupid.
suck. You suck.
Yeah, absolutely. That is just stupidity epitomized.
Unreal. And then this is all old stuff that we've already gone through. I guess I'm not surprised knowing the history of both those websites. So it's nothing. It's nothing. I go, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised they did that. But it's still smarmy crap.
Yeah.
A bunch of jag-offs, man. Alright, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for World of Tanks, fellas. That's gray hat at best. Yeah. It just doesn't have to be done, man. There's no reason. Well, it's done for clicks, obviously. It's done to make money, right? They can get people clicking on it and all that stuff.
They go, oh yeah, and because word of mouth will happen. Oh, guess what? If you go and read that, it tells you exactly how to do this.
Yeah.
And the way people do. Oh, yeah. Anyway, do you want a subject du jour? Do you want to know about the Everest thing?
Yeah.
Yo! Well, yesterday I actually booked the dates. So the 7th to the 29th of October 2027.
Wow.
We have now booked the expedition. And so far we've got 3 with the possibility of 2 more joining in. Deposits have been paid. We had the inaugural meeting of the Everest team a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday.
Can you call it the Everest team? Or do you have to rename it the other mountain team?
No, we're gonna. The actual team name is going to be Alpha Omega.
Yeah.
So because it'll be their first high climb and my last high climb. Although I haven't told them yet, I'm going to do Denali. So it might not be my last high climb, but for all intents and purposes, it's my last high climb. If I'm still physically fit at the age of 70, I will do Denali. We've spoken about that, haven't we? Yeah, they are actually, Grendel. They're doing some cleanup at the moment. So, so we've the 3 of us so far out the 5 have paid deposits. The dates are sorted. Things are moving forward. We're going to have a GoFundMe page start in January. One of the team members have picked that up and run with it because it's far too techie for me to get involved with. I've got no idea how to set that up. But the team member will set that up. And what we're doing it for a number of charities. So the GoFundMe page will be with a set level to get to. But if we get to that set level, half of it will go to charity. The other half will go to supplement the whole team's costs.
Okay.
When it comes to buying equipment and all the rest of it. So the charities we're doing it for is My Regimental Association, the Dementia UK, StackUp.org, and it's called COPS. It's for the widows and widowers of fallen police
Okay.
because we've got a couple of policemen on the team, or retired policemen. So, and then there will be one another because we have the South African with us. So we've asked the South African to find a South African or a charity that would deal with
Right.
their hometown. So we're doing it for 5 charities, and we'll split it 5 ways from the GoFundMe page. I think the target is going to be £20,000. Bear in mind that's 5 of us. So £10,000 or $15,000 will go to those charities. So I was quite concerned that we involved a US charity of some sort and Stack Up, because they do things for the US veterans and the Allied veterans as well. They do a lot for the UK veterans as well.
Okay.
I thought that was a fairly suitable one.
Yeah.
So he gave $150 off for the Indian, and then so that's all that anyway. And then
Well,
some of the guys.
give me the
on
link
here-
when you get the GoFundMe.
Yeah, once we
link.
get set up,
Yeah.
I'll do all that. Thank you. I think it was Kedge also mentioned about merch, so we're going to have a look at merch. So we'll have some form of Hobbit climbing a mountain merch, T-shirts or baseball caps or something like that. We'll have a look at that.
You have
So
to
that's plenty of time to get.
carry the ring to Mount Doom.
That's the one, yeah. I'm not sure which rings are going to be carried though, because that's all been done, hasn't it? So I have to find something else. So maybe, I don't know, jars of peanut butter to the mountain, maybe. Or
It's
something.
too heavy, man. It has to be something light.
Yeah. Yes, Banzai. The House General will stand in for me on the month that I'm away doing coffee talk. There you go.
Yeah, that's the most important question.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it now feels. I mean, it always felt real to me, Guido, because it was something I was going to do, come
Yeah.
hell or high water. But it now actually feels quite real because we've got, we've booked the dates, we've got the deposits paid, and now we've got a target to reach, and so on and so on and so on. So
Yeah.
so it's everybody's fired up for it that's involved in it. We've started to get equipment together already. We have a friend in the military, shall we say, a friend in the military in the logistics area of the military that is helping. Shall we put it that way?
So when's the next training event?
Well, we've got a meeting in December. We're going to have a monthly meeting, and the next training event will be probably October next year, where we do the Yorkshire Three Peaks,
Yeah.
which you might say, well, it's not the national Three Peaks, but it's the Yorkshire Three Peaks. It's all done in a one-er. And you go up the first peak, down the next, and you carry on. You do it. It takes a whole day to do it, but you just do it, and it's a lot of tabbing. But before that, yeah, grumpy old man. Before that, we're going to do some sort of days away, getting used to camping together, getting a little bit of team bonding, a little bit of adversity to get.
Are you gonna climb any Alps or anything? You gonna go to Europe and do any
Well,
climbing
we
there?
fancied. I mean, I've done Mount Blanc or Monte Bianco if you're doing it from Italy. So I've done that, and I did suggest that might be a goer, but it's a cost thing. People are sort of like sort of focusing totally on the cost of the Everest
Right.
thing. So
Yeah.
if we can do anything on the cheap, we'll probably do it.
Right.
There's a possibility of going. There's definitely a possibility of going to Wales and doing the fan dance. There's a possibility of going over to Ireland to do something in Ireland. They've got they've got a few mountain ranges in Ireland. So as opposed to going all the way to the Alps, because
Right.
that's again. I mean, you're probably talking to do the Alps as a group of 5. You're probably talking $3,000 a piece
Yeah.
just to do that with all the travelling and you've got to
Nothing
stay up.
Special says you can climb out of a rocking chair.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a start.
The guide service. Yeah. How much equipment does the guide service give you? You have to have all your personal gear,
Yeah,
clothing,
no,
or
you've got
whatever.
to have all your own. You can bring all your own gear, but there is a weight limit. So you can bring all your own gear. You can have your own crampons, your own helmets, your own boots, and everything else that goes with it to climbing. Or you can rent it in site in Kathmandu. So what we've decided to do, rent it through the company, so you're getting quality kit. You know what I mean? You're not just getting some dodgy stuff from the backstreet bazaar in Kathmandu. So,
But you could if you
all
wanted
your
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to, yeah. But your own trekking gear, you'll have your own. I mean, we've got our own Bergens, sleeping bags, sleeping bag liners, various, the equipment that you would need to trek, which takes you all the way to Everest Base Camp. And then the climbing part, we will rent via the company local equipment, which is then carried by the Sherpas. Because when you get on the flight from Kathmandu to Lahore, it's a 15-kilo weight limit on your baggage.
Right.
So, if you've got all your crampons, ice axe, and everything else in there, that's your 15-kilo limit reached there and then. The way round that is that you wear everything that you're taking, basically. So you put 4 or 5 layers on, your boots, everything that's heavy you put on your body, because they don't weigh the person, they only weigh the bag. Because you're getting a little 12-seater single-engine airplane to fly into the core.
Yeah.
Probably the most dangerous airfield, most dangerous landing strip in the world.
Actually, yeah, you're probably in more danger on the flying in on a Nepalese airline than you are climbing in the mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and
The Sherpa's probably also the pilot.
it might be the Sherpa's mother, actually. That's the pilot. Apparently, the word is, I was talking to the company that's doing it, I was talking to their rep, and the word is that if the pilots have the curtain drawn across, there's a problem. If they have the curtain to the cockpit drawn open and they're on their phones, everything's okay.
Yeah. On their phones, yeah. God bless.
Yeah. So and I think overall, it's just going to be I just think it's going to be great fun. I really do. People say you're mad, but you know what I mean. It's got to be done, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then the climb at the end. Well, the climb up Island Peak is 20,225 feet, I want to say. And the exciting part about that, I think we discussed it before, is that it's an ice wall. So you're ice axing crampon all the way up the ice wall to get to the summit. Well, it's about 10 yards from the top of the ice wall to the summit, so it's a bit of a jolly when you get up there. I'll be taking a GoPro with me, so there'll be a full GoPro video which we'll bang out on YouTube somewhere along the way. So I will GoPro from leaving, because we're going to leave from Dublin. We're not going to leave from the UK. We're going to fly over to Dublin because we're doing it with an Irish company. For a number of reasons. Earth's Edge is the Irish company doing it. The reason why we're doing it with them is that they plant 7 trees. For every person they take out to Nepal, they plant 7 trees in Nepal. So they look after the environment in Nepal quite well. They pay the Sherpas a proper living wage, not some pennies in a bucket. They actually pay them a proper wage, and they will give them where we all plump in and give the Sherpas a what do they call it? A big tip at the end.
Yeah.
So basically, they get like $200 a piece for doing that. And also, they have, with the expedition, they have a fully qualified doctor and a mountain leader. And it's the only company in the world that I know of provide those 2 things. It's great having a medic. I mean, I'm a medic, but I wouldn't be able to treat anybody for AMS or something crazy like that. So they, on every expedition, they provide a doctor and a mountain leader who has climbed whichever peak you're going to climb enough times to know what he's talking about. So that's the reason why we've gone with them, because they seem to have the whole thing together.
Okay.
What I'm going to do, Sergeant Major Rock, if I die on the mountain, I'm going to keep the GoPro going. So I don't care if I'm frozen stiff on the mountain. I want to be filmed frozen stiff on the mountain, with thumbs up.
The
Maybe.
Hobbit cam.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Hobbit cam. So So I will do it from. I mean, I'm keeping a diary. AMS is altitude something sickness. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Altitude mountain sickness or something like that. And the easiest way to treat that is to descend.
Yeah.
You descend off the altitude and you get back.
Hello,
yeah,
Maldives.
I mean, so we'll have I'm keeping a diary, a written diary, because I'm going to write a little book at some point.
Okay.
Which I'll discuss with you outside this means at some point. But I'm going to write a life story book, and including in that will be the Everest adventure. So I'll keep a little diary. So we'll do that, and then we'll have a YouTube video at some point. late in the year of 2027.
Good.
So yeah, I mean, it's all coming together now. So yeah,
Good. Good.
cool.
All right.
Yeah, happy days.
Now, yeah, give me the GoFundMe, and we'll incorporate
Yes,
that into the
it'll
channel.
be set up in January, so I'll
Yeah.
do that in January sometime. Yeah.
So
Thank you
now,
for that. That'd be cool.
now we have to talk about football,
Yes, we do.
American football.
Yes, we do.
I'm trying to look at this. What is going on here? So week 14 of 15. Why is there not a week? What am I missing here? Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, 13. All right. LSU.
Oh dear.
Go Gators. Sweet. All right. Well, LSU is irrelevant anyway, and so are the Gators. But they won, so we'll take that.
That's good.
We'll take that
That's
win.
good.
Yeah. Not that LSU had a prayer of getting back into it, but it's even a ridiculously low chance is now gone. It's 0 chance at this point. The Grey Cup is today. Really, Alamander? Nice. That's cool. That's the Super Bowl of the Canadians from Canada.
good.
From Canada,
good.
the 51st state of the USA. Just kidding. You'd be at
Well,
least
how-
you'd be at
how
least
does
4 or
that-
5 states.
Right, you're Gators and you're Florida. So how do the Jags fit into Florida then?
Jaguars are professional. The Gators are college.
Right, so there's no conflict between the two teams then, as
No,
such.
but college
Supporting the two
college
teams.
feeds the NFL.
Okay.
College players.
So would you if the Jags were playing locally, you would if you were to watch a local team, you would go and watch them.
I'm not a Jaguars fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. I'm a Miami fan.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
Not
But
a
yeah,
Gators man then.
no, I'm Gators. Yeah, but that's college. There's
Oh, so
see, you're getting
professional-
confused because
Yeah.
there's a Miami Dolphins, which is a pro team. There is the Miami Hurricanes, which is a college team. So
Right, got
yeah.
you. Okay, got you.
many
Got
cities
you.
have both college
More-
and pro
Well,
teams.
yeah. Okay. All right.
But we had some significant developments this week. Number one is that let's see. So Florida beat LSU, which was not relevant to the playoffs. But what was relevant to the playoffs is BYU lost to Kansas
Okay. Why is that relevant then?
because they were leading their conference and were as of until yesterday automatically in the playoff. But now they're not
Right,
necessarily. They might still be. It kind of depends. The other one is, where was it? I think there was one other one that had significance. Maybe not. Oh, the Tennessee-Georgia game. Georgia beat Tennessee.
Right. Okay.
And, as Cliffy said, that was the third one. Colorado beat Utah and is potentially, actually, let's just call this up here. Potentially in the run. Now, the new rankings are not out yet. I think they're going to be out. It should be imminently. They do it on Sunday sometime in the morning,
Okay.
maybe early afternoon, whenever it is. But if we go over to the standings, yeah, all right. So first, we've got AAC doesn't really matter. I mean, Army maybe has an argument, but they have to beat Notre Dame. So we'll see what happens.
okay.
I don't think anyone in the AAC makes it unless it's Army and they have to beat Notre Dame.
Well, Notre Dame are quite good, aren't they? From what I remember.
They're not bad. Yeah, they're not bad this year.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting. I don't see Army beating Notre Dame, but if they do, then they probably get in. In the ACC is really interesting because you've got right now SMU going into the playoff with an automatic berth out of the ACC.
Right.
And I don't know if they play Clemson or Miami or what, but of course they have to win their last 2 games to stay undefeated. If they lose one, now we've got to go through the strength of schedule, yada yada, ranking out of these 3. And is there an ACC championship? I think there is actually. So maybe
Well,
they.
is it? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think there is a conference championship for the ACC. So there is that piece.
Right. So rankings come in from not just wins, but also points as well, points scored and everything. Does it, or is it just wins and losses?
It's very complicated. It's wins, losses, strength of schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes barely losing to a very good team is, well, obviously winning's better, but sometimes you don't lose as much by losing to a very good team.
Right,
All else
just-
being equal,
right.
winning is obviously better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very unscientific. So there's the playoffs. There's the conference playoffs too that will have a vote. So now Colorado has snuck into the conversation. Kind of stealthily slid into the conversation with the Big 12. So we'll see what happens there. Big 10. This is really interesting. Right now it's Oregon, Indiana for the Big 10 championship.
Yeah.
Unless one of them loses next week. I think there's 2 weeks left in the next 2 weeks. So that kind of depends. Ohio is lurking, as is Penn State. You hope Colorado gets blown out. I think he's done a really good job with that team this year. But he's got two very good players, and they both leave next year. We'll see. Next year is going to be the test for Dion. See what he does next year when he doesn't have Shedeur and is it Hunt? Is that his name?
See when you get into the playoffs, is the playoffs then for want of a better word, the final, the grand final, the big game between two teams?
Well,
Is that what the playoffs produce.
We'll have a 12-team playoff. So there'll be 12, the 12 theoretically best teams. And then they'll play each other, basically. The top four get a bye. So the first week is 4 games for the other 8, which then brings 4 teams forward to play the 4 teams that had a bye, and then so on until you have a championship game.
Right, so the championship game is the final 2 teams that top of the
Yeah, it's called the National Championship, the Natty.
Right.
It's kind of its nickname.
Right, okay. And who decides where that's played?
It moves around to a coalition of 4 bowls. Is that right? There's 4. So some years ago there were college bowl games, and they would be invite only. And for a lot of years, there were a couple big ones, and they generally had the top team and the number 2 team kind of unofficially, and that would be the national championship. It got a little more organized over the years, until it was, no kidding, that was the national championship game. When they did the 12-team playoff system, there's a coalition of like the 4 or 5 top bowls. I don't remember how many of them are, and that they will host it, and it moves, and it goes
around.
from So one of the bowls will be of course the playoffs are bowls as well. So other bowls will host a playoff game, and then eventually you get to the last game, and that's the Cotton Bowl or whatever the bowl is that owns it that year.
But it's not necessarily the home ground of the team that's
No.
playing.
No, could be.
Okay. All
Could be
right.
pretty close. Depends on where they're from.
Yeah.
But it's usually a very large arena of some kind somewhere.
So you're gonna have equal numbers of supporters. That's what I was trying
That
to get at.
depends. I mean, you could, if you have, say, Alabama is playing in Atlanta,
Right.
or Georgia's playing in Atlanta, even closer. You got Georgia playing in Atlanta. You might have more Georgia fans, but it's hard to get tickets. So you're right. These things are. I mean, they're expensive.
So are most of the tickets corporate then?
Oh yeah.
You know, I thought so, because it was the same when the Jags played over here. All the good seats were corporate tickets. You could not just go online and buy yourself a good seat. You could get a seat right at the back somewhere where you couldn't see anything. But if you wanted a good positional seat to watch the game, because they played at Wembley, you had to basically have a corporate ticket. You had to know somebody who It was pretty shit, to be honest. I wasn't very happy at all.
See, I didn't know that, Major Rock. That's interesting. Are they going to have the bowl title when they do that, even though they're playing at the home team stadium? That's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought they were all going to travel to the different bowls.
Well, who dictates home team then? Just the schedule.
It'll be by the brackets. So
the
the teams that have it might be by seeding actually.
Right.
It's probably by seeding, depending on which lower seed moves forward, I would assume. I haven't delved into it that much, whether it's seeding or by bracket. It must be seeding then, yeah. So the lower seed will be the home team, whichever that is, because you could have a low seed win and move forward, And
Yeah.
even though they won in a bracket before, they're still lower than this team they're going to play. So it'll be away again.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So Conference USA, I don't think these guys are in anything. Notre Dame is definitely in the mix. In the MAC, none of these guys are going to do anything. They're not going. Boise, potentially, although they've lost one, so who knows. Pac-12 is a dead. Although they're gaining some teams next year, so the Pac-12 is going to be, I think, reorganized. So here's the big conference, obviously the SEC. They got a lot of teams that have arguments. I don't know if maybe we've pared those down. Does Ole Miss really have an argument anymore? Maybe. At least, definitely the top 5 do. Although Tennessee just lost again. Yeah, they just lost again. So that's crazy. So this is the current rankings right here, but this is not the new ones because you're still seeing guys who just lost that are going to drop. Tennessee will drop. BYU will drop. Miami lost, so they're probably going to drop further. Two losses and beat Georgia. Yeah, so you think they're still in there. I mean, they're sitting at 10th, so they've won. I don't see them dropping. So that, yeah, they may. So that puts, as of now, Ole Miss, Alabama, well, here's the question. Where does Tennessee go? Do they drop out of the top 12? And although the top 12 isn't exactly the cutoff, that's close. Don't know. Tennessee might be in danger of, they might be on the cusp of being out of it. Texas is definitely still in there. Obviously, Ohio State and Oregon. Penn State's still hanging tough. Indiana's undefeated. They're fine right now. BYU lost. Who knows? Who knows where that loss goes? Because that wasn't a particularly great team. And they barely survived Utah. Right? Is that who they lost? They didn't lose to Utah this week, right? It was last week they barely beat them, I think. BYU, they lost to Kansas, and they barely beat Utah, I believe, the week before. Yes, survived Utah. So those last 2 games haven't looked great for BYU. So they could drop out of the top 12. That's very possible. Georgia makes playoff and Ole Miss finishes with just 2 losses, then Ole Miss gets in. Georgia makes the playoff. Yeah. Well, Georgia's in right now. They won again. They're not going to drop. I mean, you can definitely see Tennessee might not drop that much, but I bet they get near the 12 mark. BYU, who knows where they free fall to? That's gonna hurt them. I mean, right now I'd say other than being the conference champion, rankings wise, they're out of it. I'm betting anyway. That'd be my assumption because it's just been a bad 2 weeks for them. They haven't looked good. Miami was already on the cusp, and then they lost. That's looking rough. Boise is going to lurk around here somewhere, I think, still. SMU, who knows? But then the championships are the big ones.
Right.
Dark horse to win it all, Wayne? I mean, they're in right now. They're going to the 12-team championship right now. You're saying to win the whole thing? Yeah, right, Cliffy? That could absolutely be true. Playing one more game and losing in the championship could hurt a team more than just being third place.
That's crazy.
I wonder.
That's crazy,
yeah, that's a great point. And this is really the only conference, other than maybe, I don't know, maybe the Big Ten, depending on how many teams we're talking about that are doing well. But right now, anyway, the SEC is the only conference where that's a fact. Could be a fact.
That's just crazy.
Texas and Texas A&M both have 1 loss in the SEC conference. There is that. Where is Texas A&M right now? They're all the way down here. But you're right. They have 2 losses overall, but only 1 in SEC. It is complicated, man. But right now, they're the 2 going to the championship. It's a good point. I mean, Texas leapfrogs a bunch of these guys rankings-wise, especially if they won. If the championship was today, and Texas A&M played, and Texas wins, well, they'd get in anyway for the championship. So that's moot, I suppose, at that point.
Well, sort of Major Rock says they play each other at the end of the season.
Yeah, there's some important games still coming up, actually, that will change a lot of this, because it's so crazy right now. Because if you look at it, this is next week. The games they're talking about. So Indiana, Ohio State is a huge game. That is huge. They're both undefeated, and right now they're both going to the championship. So that might change things depending on which one wins and which one loses.
Well, yeah, I was going to say whichever one loses could well be dropped down.
I don't know how many other one-win Big Ten teams there are, but anyway, it's a huge game either way you slice it. We've got, Colorado, if they want to stay, they've got to beat Kansas. Georgia, whatever, UMass is going to get crushed. Ole Miss has to go to Florida, and Florida just beat LSU. So Florida is a tough out. They're not great, but I think they're a tough out. Ole Miss probably is better on all sides, as someone said, than Florida, but still they're going into the swamp. So that's one to watch. I don't think it's going to be much of a problem, but it could be.
Well, you've got environmental conditions to think about as well. I mean, if you're from the northern states, or anywhere where it's not hot and humid, if you get a hot and humid day.
Yeah, but it's nice now. Yeah, it's not the
there.
swamp in August. It's
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
so
not
that's
bad.
not such a big factor then. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll probably be beautiful. It'll probably be like a 70-degree day. It'll just be absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, Ohio State has a loss to Oregon. Yep. So what else we got? BYU, Arizona State. I don't know. I think BYU's out of it, but other than a championship, we'll have to watch that. Kentucky, Texas. Texas should take care of business at home. Probably not a big worry there. None of these others matter. Here's that Army Notre Dame game. So next week, if Army has a prayer that they're beating Notre Dame, if they lose, they're probably done. Boise, no big deal there. Texas is going to Auburn. Auburn's not great, but it is in Auburn. Don't care. Alabama, Oklahoma. I don't know. They have to take. Alabama just has to take care of business to stay in this whole thing. That should be, but it's in Oklahoma, so who knows? This doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Then the last week, depending on how all the rest of that goes, Georgia Tech's been a thorn in people's side. So Georgia's got to play Georgia Tech. This is rivalry weekend, although that doesn't seem to be as big a thing anymore. There's that Texas A&M game. That will be huge, depending on how the rest of it goes. Probably going to be huge either way you slice it. At least for one of the teams, if not for both, depending on how everything else goes.
So how at this point, because it seems so complicated, how at this point would you be able to sit down and put $50 on somebody winning the?
Well, there'll be odds. Yeah, the gambling sites in Vegas will already have odds. So you'd bet on
Will
them.
they? On given teams, even though, however complicated this is right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you can bet on anything. You can bet on whether they'll make the playoffs. You can bet on whether they'll win. You can probably bet on how many playoff games they'll win. Who knows? There's no
clear team who is head and shoulders above everybody
Oh,
else.
there's odds. Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, is there?
Oh, yeah.
All right, okay.
I don't know what they are. I haven't looked at them, but 100%. I mean, probably something like, I don't know. Who's got the best odds, fellas? Anyone know? I'm looking at the list, and I'm just going to guess.
I mean, which team would you sit down and look at that list and go, okay, that's where my money would go?
I think the teams with the best odds got to be Texas and Ohio State. Is that
really? Oh, okay, all right.
I don't know if Oregon might be in there somewhere, but I haven't looked at it, so I could be way off. Wayne
says Oregon.
Well, Oregon's at the top, but I don't know what the odds makers think of Oregon. All right, here we go. Ohio State plus 300. So they're number one. Oregon's 2. Texas is 3rd. Alabama's 4th. Georgia's 5th. Ole Miss is 6th. Penn State 7th, and Notre Dame 8th. So that's a very interesting list.
Right. Given the current situation now, but that will change tomorrow, next
week. And if you're a believer in the odds makers are generally better than the prognosticators who are using more emotion and stuff, that's actually kind of an interesting list if you look at it.
Yeah.
I think once you get to plus 1,000, 2,000, 2,200, that's not too relevant. But the top three are very close. Plus 300, plus 350, plus 450. Ohio, Oregon.
Yeah.
Ohio, Oregon, Texas. All right, there you go. That's college football talk for the week. And I'm going to get going because I got stuff to do today.
You have. You're a busy man in the
I
yard
do.
today.
Yeah. I'm going to go wreck my back again. That'll be awesome.
I've got some cocodamol there, codeine. I'll send it over to you, mate. Some tramadol even.
I think the odds are about that to some extent, Cliffy, but they also can't be only about that. Otherwise, people won't bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I find them, although it is money driven, I find those kinds of odds to be better, really, in the long run, because it is about money. All right, let's go find somebody to raid. Hope you guys have a fantastic day out there. See who's streaming right now. See when we find somebody rapping.
Yeah, that guy you went to last time. That was good.
Who we got? I don't know. Right on, Randall. See you, O'Brute. Mel D, see you. Good seeing you again, man. Yeah, let's plan on that, O'Brute. DCS tomorrow, that'll work. Did you get your server? You're going to try to get your server going? I can't find anyone, fellas. There's a guy that's got this weird British guy streaming.
Don't want to be going there.
Don't go in there.
Oh, don't go there.
All right, sounds good. How about the gaming? Oh, the gaming loin? No, I thought that said lion, but it's loin. Goodness.
Maybe not. Doesn't sound healthy, does it?
I'll go raid grow up cider. He's good egg. Let's see here. There he is. Cool. Start the raid in 10 seconds, my friends. Like I said, yeah. Yeah, but it's the same area, Grendel. It's a general area. All right, y'all have a great one. Guido signing off from the left side of the Atlantic.
Pilgrim signing off from the correct side of the Atlantic. See you next Sunday.
Laters.